Hey Tana, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good. It
Well,
is dreary, cold, and finally November. Today
okay.
is giving very Guns N' Roses, cold November rain kind of vibes.
Giving Gilmore Girl vibes for me.
How is it? I did see
Uh,
a post about that it was about this time 25 years ago that Gilmore Girls premiered. So,
yeah, it's giving Gilmore Girls for me because so where I live, for those of you who don't know, it's very like Hallmark movie-esque, if you will.
you're not
Like
wrong.
the main street has like corn stalks on like every light post with orange bows on them. These cute little shops like all down the main street, right? And Thursday there was a like an event that the village puts on that's called the Creepy Crawl, and like the kids walk through like on our quote unquote haunted bike trail, and we did that. And then at the end there's like a little petting zoo, and like you can get cotton candy and like kettle corn. It was just, and it's very Stars Hollow esque. So I've been experiencing some very like small or Hallmark movie town vibes the last couple of days between Halloween and festivities leading into Halloween. There's
Yes.
also a fun activity called Witches Night Out. I don't attend that activity, but it is a lovely drive down Main Street then to see like hundreds of people dressed as witches. I'm kind of living in my Gilmore Girls era these days.
I totally see that. If Gilmore Girls were in a small town in Wisconsin, it would definitely be the town that you live in. And it is a like the closest other closest like near town is a college town. So many similarities, right? Yeah.
Totally.
Before before we keep going down this path of Gilmore Girls November, quick reminder if you're new here that this is Tana and I's podcast called Enneagram Adventure. Tana and I are both IEQ 9 certified coaches with that Enneagram tool. Although we're open to talking through any version of the Enneagram that you want to talk through, narrative, whatever test, ready, IEQ 9, you want to talk about it, we'll talk about it. But before we jump into anything else today, Tana, is there anything you want to add?
No, nothing I would add besides, again, reminder about Enneagram is about your core motivation rather than behaviors. Let's get into it.
Yeah. I just want to take like a few minutes to recap last weekend. If you have been around a minute, then you are familiar with Brandon Thelk. Tana and I talk about him a lot. He was actually on our last podcast. We did kind of a joint podcast with him that was released both on our podcast channel and also his. So that was the last episode, which was really fun to get to do that in person with him. But then we also went straight off that podcast into an event with him. And Tana, I'm just curious if you have anything you want to share from that event or the podcast or anything like that.
Yeah, I would just like super fun to do a podcast in person. Obviously, we don't get that opportunity often because he lives in an airplane ride away or a decently long car ride anyway. So it was good to see him in person. Brandon is a very like calming presence and energy in contrast to my household that is very chaotic. If you're new here, I live with all boys. The dog's a boy. Kids are both, 7, 4, wild, crazy. So not only was it great for me to spend an 8-hour session with him with a group of people that are amazing for many different reasons, just to have the time that's unplugged, focus on myself for a little bit. For those of you who don't know, it was Brandon's first like in-person group kind of activity and event. So we spent 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. like, and we could have gone longer. Just kind of learning a little bit about the how and what and why Brandon the questions he does, kind of moves through the process the way that he does in a conversation and a session with you. It was really powerful. It was really powerful. There was a lot of vulnerability that happened, which was not only great to see, but it made the space feel really safe. Some people that have been on the podcast were there. Shout out to Danny, Laura, Casey. They all were a part of this day as well. Just really great vulnerability, openness. I think some clarity was found. I know it was on my end. I was very nervous going into it. I've never been like a part of a group session like that where like emotions are super raw. So I didn't know exactly what to expect for myself, like what was going to come out, because sometimes in a group setting that's hard, but it felt super natural, super comfortable. I would say I definitely felt lighter afterwards. And that's always how I describe after a session with Brandon is my shoulders are lower. That's my measurement, but it was great. It was awesome.
Yeah. Someone else described it as a nervous system reset they felt like they needed. So I was like, yeah, I totally get that. It was fun to be host of that event. Brandon and I have been talking about like what it could look like go forward. How would we want to look if it was a multi-day event? This is all stuff you and I have talked about too, related to even the Enneagram work. Like what does this look like? So it's been fun to sort of experiment and see like how does it work? What do you want it to feel like? What do you want? All of that sort of stuff. And I do think outside of that, which feels very tactical coming off of an event like that, it was not the first time for me. I've been to several, not single day events. Typically, they've been more retreat style, where you spend the whole weekend like doing that
Okay.
work in a group setting. And it is always very profound. And there are always like new things that come out of it, clarity. I came out of one in 2019 where like I made huge life changes coming off of an event like that, reevaluated all kinds of stuff. And I would say that event in 2019 probably like set me a little bit on the path that leads to where we are today. Like that's the work that I really love and how do you create spaces for it and things like that. But yeah, I think everybody was really vulnerable with the stories they shared and the things that came out of it. It was fascinating too on the backside that, just to be like, oh, wow, there's some things in here where we have way more in common, I think. I think we all think our problems are individual and nobody else could understand them and nobody else is living our life. And we all want to pull in that four unique flower energy. But then when you sit and you hear the stories, you're like, oh, no, actually, there's a lot of things that are more similar than they are different.
Totally.
I thought it was good. I look forward to doing it again. I'm sure we'll talk about it if we do it again or whatever we're planning in the future. So, the topic we have related to the Enneagram, though, for today is going to feel like a hard left turn from the Brandon event, but it's meant to be lighthearted. I'm hoping that, people will find it funny, maybe a little bit, or at least interesting. And that is, I came across this post on Instagram this week that was about things that annoy each Enneagram type. And sometimes those things, I'm a little bit like, yeah, okay, whatever. We're getting really stereotypical. But there were some things in there that made me laugh because they're true. And so I just thought it would be fun to like chat through those with you and talk about it and hopefully people can laugh at themselves a little bit, things like that.
Totally. I'm excited for this one. What do you want to I think you should start with the thing that you found funny on that post. So we should call out whose it is. It's Candace Michelle Enneagram
Yeah.
was who posted
I'm
it.
yes.
So
It,
why
if
don't you
I
start?
why don't okay, let me find it so I like can accurately talk about it. And so in the spirit of me finding it funny, particularly for myself, we're gonna go out of order. So sorry. I'm very sorry. Please stick around. We'll get to all nine types, but we're starting with five. And so yeah, this list of shit that annoys fives is gullible people, unsaid expectations, wasting time, personal bubble invaders, and throwing out food. So those are the things, 5 things that she had listed. And I, at first, am reading through this and like, meh, okay, gullible people, all right. Unset expectations, definitely. That's like a serious one. Like, I hate not clear expectations. That's super obnoxious. Wasting time. The number of times that we drive around someplace and like if Aaron wants to go, I make it up to like somewhere on the east side and then somewhere on the west side and then back to the east side. Like I get super annoyed. Like we need to go the like furthest away first and like work our way back home or the opposite. Like like I can like fully have like a moment with him about it not being organized or like why aren't we doing this in the most efficient manner possible, which sounds like 3 energy, but apparently it's annoyance for 5. So the personal bubble invaders, I don't know that I'm like annoyed by that. It depends on the person, for sure. But the last one, right? Throwing out food. I laughed out loud at myself about this. I thought that the throwing out food annoyed me because I grew up in a house where I was regularly reminded that there are starving children in Africa and like the clean plate club and the blah 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 and don't be wasteful and all of that. And so I thought it was just being raised in a house where I heard all of those things all the time. But apparently it's a 5 thing. I would love to hear if there are other 5s who listen to this who also are like, yes, I'm annoyed by throwing out food. But like I have tremendous amount of guilt every time we like throw food away.
I have to talk to you. What found me laughing at this one for you in particular is the gullible people one. Because when I've talked to you about gullible people before, or a situation where someone was gullible, you do this thing where you go, "Come on,
True. I do that.
you're whole you." They're like, "You don't really, you really they believed that. They believed that."
Yes.
So, so
Sometimes
um,
I think it's not just the gullible, just on that for just a second. Sometimes it's not just like the gullible thing, but sometimes it's the shit people say that they expect you to believe. If somebody, I don't know, sometimes people will say things and I'm like, like, really? You think people believe you when you say things like that? It's ridiculous. Yeah.
I've been in a situation with you multiple times where you've heard something where you're like, "That's fucking true." I know that's not true, but you just go, "Okay." Look
What
at
you
the
gonna
person and
do?
go, "Okay." I'm like, you guys don't know her, but she doesn't believe a word you're saying right now. It's actually one of my favorites. That's the laugh out loud one for me, just because I've seen you in so many situations where it's so obvious.
God.
Oh my god, that's really funny. Anything else on there about 5 that you think is worth noting before we jump?
I don't know. I think the standout one to me, like I said, is the throwing out food and then the wasting time because
Oh,
again, like I think there are things that I've always attributed to like, oh, that must be like a little 3 energy coming out in me, but the efficiency thing, you know, if you put it through the lens like wasting time, it's maybe that is 5 on a lower
well, it's hard
integration.
because we love time
What?
is a resource.
Time is a resource, yes.
Yeah, time is a resource. So I'm not super duper surprised.
Oh, so you're putting that through the lens of like conserving resources.
Yeah,
Okay. Yep.
it's
Yeah.
not about efficient. It's about there's 24 hours in a day.
You just, oh God. Do you know the movie Empire Records?
No.
Oh, there's a quote from that movie that's about a bunch of high school kids who work in a record store. But there's one girl who like is trying to get into Harvard or something or another, but she says to her friend in there are 24 usable hours in every day. That's what you just made me think of.
Well, that's not it. But also we all have the same number of hours in a day as Beyonce.
It's true.
I heard that. Oh my god. But no, yours were good. Mine are a little more obvious. So for those who are listening, Enneagram 2, shit that annoys me. First one is rude servers or cashiers. Oddly enough, I am a little bit more tolerant of a rude server or rude cashier. I am not tolerant of people who are rude to servers or
Sure.
cashiers.
Yeah.
Because I put it through the lens of this is probably their second job. Their job is hard. Don't be a dick for the sake of being a dick.
Have you had the dinner with an in-law situation
Oh my
where the
God.
in-law is rude, or maybe it could be a parent. I don't want to whatever, but
Well,
I've
we're
definitely
getting
had there where
started.
I'm like, I will never go to dinner with you ever again because you're such a jerk to the server.
Oh my God. No, it's not a jerk, but there will be some sort of comment that's made that's really loud.
Yeah.
That my husband, who's an 8, actually will lean over to his dad and be like, everyone can hear you. Freaked out. Texting first, always. That doesn't really bother me either. That doesn't bother me. But I guess it's more like said differently. If I always feel like I'm the one putting in all the effort in a relationship, sure, that can be annoying. That can be annoying. Not being thanked. Yes. Like I'll tell you, oh, it's no big deal. No, it's a big deal. Annoying.
The two needs the appreciation. Yes.
I do. I do. I need it. It gives me the ick, but I do. Because of what it is. Being left out, yeah, that hurts my feelings. I at least want the invite. I don't want you to like beg me if I say no, I can't, but I at least want the invite. I know you share that thought too.
Yes. Yeah. I always want the invite. I will not
Mhm.
always come. Yeah.
Yeah. And I would tell you that I am also getting a lot better at not always saying yes. And when I do say no, not feeling guilty about it.
That's a big move for two.
It's been a lot of really hard work. I will give you an example of you asked me to record yesterday, and in my head, I was doing mental gymnastics to figure out how could I do this in a way because I was like, she's leaving for Spain. I want to make her life easy. How do I like make this happen? And I was like, I can't. Be realistic. You can't. And just say you can't.
Yeah, it's fine. We're recording today. It's great.
Yeah.
You don't have
It was fine.
hooligans running around in costumes in your house.
Yeah. It's safe. Right. Anyway, yeah. Example. And the last one, not having surprise birthdays. I would for you when I was younger, that's true. But now it's more like I was just having this same conversation with an 8 that you and I both know, good friend of mine. I make a big deal out of other people's birthdays, like in my family. I want them to match that energy for me. I want them to like think about me or like do something nice for me. I don't need like a huge gift or anything, but like at least one little something. Okay, maybe surprise does because I always really hope that my husband put a card out the night before, so then it's downstairs the morning of. And if it's not, then I get kind of sad.
Do you like surprises in general?
I do like surprises. It's because then people are thinking of me without me being the first to
Okay.
initiate. You
Okay.
know what I mean?
This is all good to know from the standpoint of I do not like surprises.
Well,
And so I don't
because normally people
I
who
don't
like
do
surprises think
surprises.
other people like surprises, you know?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
because I like surprises, everybody likes surprises, right? Yes
Yeah.
or yes. What I do not like unpleasant surprises. Yeah.
Oh yeah. For sure. That's a
But it's an
yeah.
appreciation and it's like, oh, I was on that person's mind.
Makes
And
sense.
normally I feel like I'm the one who's thinking about everyone and nobody's thinking about me.
All
And
right.
somewhat I rest my case. I made a few excuses in there. Get over it.
You ready to move on? Should we start going
Yeah.
in order now? Should we back up or
Okay,
should we
yeah,
go
please.
forward to three?
Well, that's 3. Go to
All
3.
right.
That feels good.
Three.
What's on the post is I'll just go through them quick. Wasted effort, emotional oversharers, being called fake, complaints plus no effort, and group projects.
Here is a three we know that I have seen be annoyed by every single thing on this list. No joke. Wasted effort.
I know.
jump through a million hoops to get to something, do all the whatever, and then, oh, nope, we're not doing that. Doing something else.
My God,
Yeah.
I did that this week to a different brewery. I asked for something, and then later in the week, I realized that it was duplicative of a different effort that I had complete access to and could have found somewhere else. I messaged this person. I'm like, I have to tell you this. You would have never known, but I can't consciously keep this on my brain. I'm so sorry. I asked you to do something that was right over here. Hold. Okay, owe you a coffee or something? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. He's like, it's fine. I'm like, it's not though. You can tell me.
The emotional overshares. I once started crying over something in front of a three, and they literally ran out of the room. Like, I've never
No,
seen somebody leave the room so quickly.
I think that if we're talking about the same three, I have overshared with that three, but it's been from a place of anger and passion. I was crying, but I wonder if it was because I wasn't angry. Also, I came into their space, so it's a little like you can't leave.
It does make that could
Here
make a
you.
difference.
Why
I
I'm
will
here.
also say this particular three has done, since that time, has done a ton of like development work and like growth stuff, and also reacts better now. And I'm pretty sure they would admit that also.
Quiet. Being called fake.
This makes me think of so many things. But I think one reason why the being called fake would be super annoying to a three is because of the like chameleon thing that they're capable of doing. And it it can read to people as fake when they're doing it. But I get
Yeah,
it
it's
because
annoying as well.
obviously their intention isn't bad, right?
You challenge me on this with threes. It's
Yes.
because it's in here for me that I get so pissed. But like, it's annoying.
Sometimes, I don't know, at some point we got to have a three on the pod and have them talk about that because I don't entirely understand how they do it.
I do. I do the same shit. It's not intentional.
No, but I don't know how you do it.
I don't. I mean, what do you mean how? How? Like,
Well, like the chameleon thing. Like I feel like that would take so much effort to like even like move through the world in that sort of like constant adaptive state to like all the people around you and just adapting and like this person needs this from me and this person needs this from me. Because this is how it comes off like as fake, right? Is that when one person that you're with witnesses you one way and then you're in a different setting and they witness you a different way, like that's how that happens, right? And you might just be adapting to your audience and feeling like it's very authentic to you, but the people who are observing that are like, seems off. Also, exhausting.
okay, yeah, that's fair. So, like, couple things. One, have you ever seen the movie Runaway Bride, where Julia Roberts like gets into however many relationships and she never knows what kind of eggs she likes?
Yes.
Okay, so then when they like you fast forward, I'm gonna spoiler alert for a movie 100 years old. She like becomes single and then tries a bunch of different eggs, right? To figure out what kind of eggs are her favorite. Because she would always chameleon to whoever relationship she was in. That was the kind of egg she liked. So I can say this has ties to the Brandon work. So before I started doing work with Brandon, I felt that I didn't know myself. I felt like I was gypped out of an opportunity to get to know myself. And so when used to be much easier to chameleon to people before I started doing the work with Brandon or development work on a deeper level at all, because I really didn't know what I liked or what I didn't like. And it was easier to chameleon because I didn't know.
Sure.
So it takes quite literally no effort, but also with my social subtype, it was very easy. What does this person need from me?
It's interesting only because the five is so opposite of that. Like, I just can't imagine that feeling easy. I just can't. It just doesn't for
Yeah,
me.
it's
Like,
easier. It's
yeah.
easier. easier
My
than you
level
think.
of like social adaptation is just to withdraw further, right? Is just to become quieter, right? Like if I, yeah.
No, I'm like the skinwalker of social settings.
Okay,
So that one.
let's move on
Okay,
to
dedicated.
fours.
Okay. 4. So the list says deep in followers, surface level combos. It's not that deep. Toxic positivity and gossipy mean girls.
The thing I'm picking up on as we go through these like one by one a little bit too is a little bit how all like also the types can trigger each other into these states of annoyance, right?
Yes.
Because but then also how it's a little like similar. If an Enneagram 4 is annoyed by like sheep and followers, the 3 could totally annoy them when they're doing their chameleon thing, right? That could
Okay.
feel like going along. Or they could be so annoyed by the 9, right? Who just is like, I'm just going to go along to get along.
Okay.
And then, yeah, like, I don't know. Just reading them out loud, I'm like, oh man, there's like things that are super similar and yet so different in terms of how we would do them to each other.
For sure. I think the right, you contrast going from 3 to 4 where it's not that deep as a trigger to a 4, and a three's like, it's not that deep.
Yeah,
And
like I don't want to have an
it's
emotional
clingy.
conversation. But also if you think
Yeah.
about how this like shows up in people, like as we're going through these, when you go through them in order, it becomes like a little more like obvious to me too in terms of the like a four-wing 3, that's got to have like a
Okay.
little conflicting feeling in it. Hector, if you listen to this one, let us know if those things actually do annoy you.
Well, remember when you were speaking with him back on that podcast where he said, I think one of us asked about negativity or something. He tends to be more positive, is what I remember him saying.
Yeah. But I
So
think there's
that's
difference between like being a generally positive person and like toxic positivity. We'll keep going. Keep going.
okay. Okay.
We'll
Okay.
go
Keep going.
to 6 because we already did 5. 6 is on the list unstructured plans, unclear instructions, flaky people, last minute changes, or unearned confidence. I also feel like on this
I want
one,
to
we kind of
confident.
need Laura to weigh in or any other 6 who might listen to this. But I mean, I don't want to speak for her, but I definitely know unstructured plans can be annoying.
That can be annoying. Unclear instructions, that doesn't surprise me either. Ranking people, I always thought that was it. Like, that drives my husband crazy. My 8 husband crazy.
That drives me crazy too. Flaky people. That's one of the things that'll like send me, especially if it comes off like it's not just flaky, but if it comes off like I would rather like a better offer came along. So I'm going to flake out
Oh,
on this or I'm going to sort of like play it off cuz I'd rather go do this thing with someone else than the thing I told you I'd do with you.
does that make you angry or sad?
Well, both. I do appreciate though, like we've got some friends that just really own it. And part of it is they've got 2 kids in the sort of middle school age range, like older elementary, middle school age. And they're just running 1,000 directions all of the time. And so
Mm.
sometimes they're like, yeah, I can't commit to that. I know it's really flaky, but I can't commit to it because I can like barely get my kids from one activity to the other. I do appreciate it when it's sort of like owned by someone versus it being someone being like, "Oh yeah, I'll do this thing with you," and then, "Oh,
Well,
sorry."
and yeah, it's a valid, ex quote unquote excuse, right? Like,
Yeah.
because I feel that I need people in my life that are like the friends that when you see them, it's just like right where you left off, you know?
Yeah.
I need those kind of people in my life because it just feels like we have so much going on all the time with 2 young kids that, like, yeah, if I need to spend my weekend doing a mountain of laundry, trying to, like, get my shit together, and I have to miss, I don't know, your birthday party or something because of it, like, I need you to not be mad at me. But it's a valid excuse, I think is the thing that I go to, because the reason I asked if it made you angry or sad is because it makes me sad. Because it goes
I
back
think
to, like, the feel of, like, you're not choosing me if you didn't choose
right.
me.
Yeah, I think it can be depending on the situation, it can be either. Right? Like sometimes it's like, "Oh, I'm disappointed. Like we had a plan and I'm disappointed that it's not going to work out." But when it's coming to your point of like a place of like this is super valid and you know, oh, I got like sick or something like that, like then I'm more sad. And if people are really upfront about the shit they have going on in their life, again, that like lends to disappointment. Like, oh, I was really hoping this would work out and it didn't. So then it's sad. But when it's like the last minute thing with no explanation, then it makes me angry. When it's just like, oh yeah, I'd rather do this other thing than the thing I told you I would do with you, then I get angry.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I
Sure,
think it's like, yeah, the context matters.
for sure. Well, and sixes probably, in general, have a really hard time pivoting.
Yeah.
Like, it's one of the things that they think is gonna happen, and then at the last minute, something changes. That's hard because they've already thought through every single scenario. Also out of their control if you are deciding that, if you're doing a change to the plan, right?
Right. Right.
So that doesn't surprise me.
Unearned confidence is interesting on this list before we
What?
move on to sevens.
Why is that so profound? Why can't I wrap my head around that?
Well, I'm really thinking about it. So like unearned confidence. So this is like the place where sixes come off as judgmental, right? Like how do you know it's unearned? What gives you that? So that's one thing that comes to mind, but then I also think about it like when have I with a six wing, I don't know, it maybe goes back to the fake people thing. Maybe it's like more of the four. It's not necessarily unearned confidence, but if it comes off as fake, I don't know. I don't
Um,
know.
I'm texting my cousin about it because,
Right now, you're like, are you
yeah,
annoyed by unearned
right.
confidence? Yeah. I think about it a little bit like, too, from the standpoint of like when somebody plays their experience up, right? Like maybe, do you know what I'm trying to say here? Like could that could come
Sure.
off as unearned
Well,
confidence, right? Like maybe you like did the thing one time and like you're entitled to have your feeling and your experience with that one thing, but it's not the same as somebody who's done it, you know, 10 times or what what have you.
you're talking, maybe it's annoying because they spend so much time and energy thinking about a worst case scenario that they feel like they have the confidence, but then other people they don't think went through all of
No,
those situations.
maybe like they've earned it through their overthought.
Yes, that's what I'm thinking. Is I've spent time, energy, effort on overthinking. That's why I'm confident. You haven't thought through any of that because they don't trust that the other person has. Go with me on that journey for a second.
Well, I mean, that could be, but that's where I go back to the like that starts to feel like a judgment passed because how do you know this person hasn't? How do you know?
Because the other person couldn't possibly have thought about it in the way that you did or to the extent.
But wouldn't that be true of like, couldn't every person say that? Right? Like,
Sure, but they believe it
sure,
because there's
sure.
safety in the way that they think about it, and they don't trust that the other person is thinking about it the way that they should be.
I get where you're going. I still am like on the train of like, this is how sixes come off as judgmental.
I can't wait for my cousin to text me back, hopefully while we're still recording, and I'll
We'll come back. We'll come back to six if she responds.
yeah.
We'll go on to
Well,
seven. So sevens are constant complainers, having nothing planned, overly serious conversations, credit card bills? Question mark. The boring adult shit.
I don't know. You and I know a 7 that, like, they like a lot of this shit.
I know like the overly serious conversations with the exception of the one seven I think you're referring to. Most sevens though that makes sense to me. Right? like you and I also know a 7 that anytime the conversation gets a little heavy, all of a sudden there's some sort of joke about something or a gif or whatever. Some sort of try to turn the conversation.
God, that annoys the shit out of me. Really does.
It's also sometimes like it's okay to just like let it be serious for a minute.
Yeah.
Just let it be. Sit in your own discomfort.
Yeah, and also, like, the 7 that I have in my life will, like, call me, and if I don't answer, then they'll send me a GIF literally right away of, like, Forrest Gump waving or, like, "Hey, hi." I'm like, "You just fucking called me. Can I have a second? Is it an emergency? Because if it is, like, who would know? Because you send me these stupid gifts all the time."
Careful, it'll be the boy who cried wolf situation.
Yeah.
Constant complainers. This is where I think also like how we interpret each other becomes like the annoyance trigger. Because sometimes like 6s in their like overthinking can come off like negative and like it's a complaint. But in their mind, they're like, no, I'm just like going through all the things. But the 7 could be like, dude, why are you complaining?
Mhm. Yeah. It's
Credit card
interesting that you both
bills.
wow. Credit card bills is easy. They spent without a care in the world, and then all of a sudden, it came back to haunt them.
Sure, sure, I can see how that could feel annoying, right? Like you didn't expect or whatever.
Yeah. And the
That
last one
sort of
is the
also
more
is
that's
boring
more
adult
adult shit.
shit. Exactly. It's the same to me.
In boring adult shit, there's a couple of 7s that I know in my life that actually can reframe the boring adult shit that they do to be fun. Like, going to the grocery store. They'll, like, decide to cook something super fun, so they're, like, happy about going to the grocery store.
All right. 7, 8.
8, bitching and no action. You're a bully, so someone telling them that they're a bully.
Yeah.
Micromanager, ineffective leadership, and easily manipulated people. Said differently, gullible, which we talked about with you. All that bitching and no, you guys I live with and every single one of these just pisses him right off.
The bully thing I think is interesting. A lot of times 8s are perceived as bullies.
Yes.
A lot of times. And never, I shouldn't say never, most of the time that is not their intent. It's just that they're so comfortable with like being direct and saying whatever.
Well, and if they perceive injustice or they perceive you doing something incorrectly in their eyes, right?
Right,
It's the right
right.
way to do wrong. They're like, there's a right way to do this, and here's the right way, and I'm going to tell you, which can also come off condescending. Said differently, it can sound condescending because my husband's a first responder, right? And well, he'll be in conversation with me, and I'm like, don't talk to me. You just pulled me over. It's annoying. The micromanagers is so interesting because he saves up his time, guys. So he's off work for like a month right now. And he will literally tell me at the beginning of this excursion every year, don't leave me a list because I'm not going to do it. He also, one time when I did leave a list, wrote at the bottom of said list, I would like $1,000,000. Do we write on this paper things that we know won't happen? Don't control me.
Don't control me. There are some things in that though where I think it's it's probably miraculous in some ways. Not miraculous isn't the right word. It's probably a good thing, even though Aaron like wings 8 more than he does 1, that he's a 9 because like I would be ready to like throw down over stuff like that. So, like, I don't know.
Oh my God, that's so funny. He'll also be the one where, like, even if like, if he does something funny, and the kids are like, say that thing again, say it again. So they're like, no. I'm like, Jesus Christ, dude, just say it. He's like, no, I'm not doing it just because you asked me to do it. Oh my
Eights.
God.
I love them, but yeah.
I would, there's an 8. You and I both know that all of these things drive her completely insane. Love
All
8s
right.
though.
Yeah, I love eights. There are a lot of eights in my life. I love them. 9, being ignored, unnecessary loudness, feeling pressure, my massive to-do list, and confrontational people. Living with a 9, I'm not sure all of these apply to him, but I will say the confrontational people, he gets very uncomfortable in truly confrontational situations, and very much like this is where like I sometimes joke that he's an 8 masquerading as a 9. But this is where you like truly know it's actual 9ness because of how much he hates true confrontation. The to-do list, I don't think it bothers him because he just pretends it's not there. Right? So maybe
Mhm.
like under the surface he's annoyed, but it's more like I can walk through the house and be like, this needs to be done, this needs to be done, this needs to be done. And he's like blinders on. Don't see it. Like didn't even notice.
Interesting.
But I do think the being ignored, but he's never actually gonna say anything about it. He'll just get like passive aggressive. And then the feeling pressured. I think sometimes that brings out the worst in him. Like again, brings out that passive aggressiveness. Unnecessary loudness, I don't think that's a trigger for him. We'll have to ask some of the other 9s in our lives if this applies to
Yeah, it'd
them.
be interesting. One to hear. We haven't done one.
We haven't done one. Back to the beginning.
All right. Bad grammar, messes I didn't make, accountability avoiders, immaturity, and slow walkers. That
Slow
absolutely
walkers
grinds
feels
my
like
gears
8
out.
to me.
Grinds my gears. Mine is more like, do you not see everyone around you?
They're just in
Be
their own
aware.
little world.
That's what, like, where I'm gonna go off on just a short tangent here. Where they put the samples in Costco needs 2 traffic jams, and I'm over it.
You
Really
know it's on
annoying.
purpose. It's on purpose.
Really
It's a
annoying.
100%
If
it's a
you
hundred
have
percent
the
intentional.
palette of end cap stuff that's like right by this, and it creates this like massive blob of people. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, I need chicken nuggets. Just move. For the love of God, move. All of those things make sense though for all the ones that I have in my life.
Yeah. Yeah. The bad grammar, of course. Or too many spaces. Wrong bullet points. I think all those things fall into the bad grammar situation there.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Well, my cousin texted me back, but well, we'll see what she says when she does.
We can circle back on it in our next episode if you get the answer.
Cool. Let's do it.
Overall, though, like, I do hope people, like, could laugh a little bit at some of the things and then that maybe their type is annoyed with. That was the goal of this, is not for it to be super serious. Hopefully we didn't make it too serious for the 7s. Yeah. But I don't know. I thought that was kind of a fun, like, change it up
It was fun.
topic. Yeah.
It was fun. I'm good at talking about things that annoy me. So this one felt very easy.
Yeah. Have like a vent session on one of these.
Great.
Yeah.
Anything to wrap us up besides, hey guys, everybody gets annoying. That's okay.
I also hope, like, as you listen through it too, like, even just the like thing that was coming up for me, right, is like, oh, some of these things are kind of the same. And some of these
Girl,
things, like, obviously we do in our type unintentionally, and it annoys the shit out of the people around us. And like, how do we be better? Also, I think it's really important to remember, like, when you are super annoyed by anything, there's something in there for you to learn. There's a mirror of some sort there. And what can you learn from that about yourself?
our mirrors.
All right.
Awesome.
I think that's all I got on this.
Well, I hope people comment what hits, what resonates. Shout out again to the account that these came from, these lists, Candace, Michelle, and Enneagram. Thank you for helping drive our content. That was fun.
Yeah. And to that point, if you've made it to the end of this and you don't follow us on the socials, we would love to have you follow us on the socials. You can find us at Enneagram Adventure in all the places: YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. We don't have a Facebook, nor do I intend for us to have a Facebook, so don't look for us there. Yeah. If you could leave us a review, a comment, share this podcast if you found it at all entertaining, worth your time, that really helps us out. We would love that. Great.
Well, thanks, Holly.
Yeah. Talk to you later.
Okay, bye.
Bye.